Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? My name is Mike Dewan, here with the Region Sports Network for Region Football Weekly, all made possible by Tire Pros in Maryville. I'm joined by, of course, my esteemed co-host. Hello, Jay Simmons. How are we doing?
Great. I can't believe we're wrapping up Week 11 and moving on to Week 12. That has been like a lightning round here.
Jay, it's gross. It's gross how quickly this time is moving by. We talked about the weather before we got on. It's going to get really ugly this weekend. Hey, we got some trophies to hand out, Jay. What better time than right now?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is going to be a great weekend for Northwest Indiana football.
And all of this, again, you're watching Region Football Weekly, made possible by Tire Pros in Maryville. We're doing this from our Centier Bank studio at the newly opened at the Athletic Performance Factory. Always been open, but this is the Diamond Plate Eatery and Pub, newly opened. This opened on Tuesday, Jay. We talked about this last week as we were here for one of their soft openings as we were recording this, or taping this show, and we saw a lot of people come in, and now this place is officially open to the public. They have some great food. They have duck pin bowling. They have some all-sport simulators in the back, Jay, and again, to kind of harp on what we said last week, but we were here when Sawdust was all kind of around. We could barely get a good Ethernet connection. And they were
from August on, right?
Pretty much, right? I mean, we were here, again, when everyone was putting a bunch of TVs in, putting a bunch of stuff in to see kind of all this kind of come to fruition. We cannot thank Doug Schaefer and everybody here at Athletic Performance Factory enough for opening their doors to us this fall season.
Yeah, it's been great, and the food's great. Cold beverages are even better, and I can't wait to shank a couple shots on the golf simulator.
So feel free to come on down. We got some special guests coming on here, too. We have a special analyst breaking down our games. Feel free to tune in later in the show. But you know how this works. We have some games to talk about. We got Week 11 to talk about, more importantly, sectional semifinals with the Class 5 and 6A schools now finally getting underway. So, Jay, let's get right into it. We'll start with Class 1A, Sectional 41. The game we could already pump the brakes on because when you hear of North Judson in the Class of 1A, Jay, those are one of those teams that it's North Judson. They've been playing quite well as of late, but the LaVille Lancers avenge an earlier season loss. 24-22, LaVille had a 17-0 first quarter lead, and at that point it was kind of all gas, no brakes. You're able to kind of coast, a little bit to the finish line, although a 2-point win. To beat a team like North Judson on the road, I think North Judson, from what we found out, they moved their Halloween, their trick-or-treating to the day after that game was so important. But LaVille, enemy territory, gets the job done.
Hey, when you're in a small town, the head football coach is going to have some flexibility on what's happening in the town. But when you look at it, Mike, you think 5 takeaways? Oh, that's hard to recover from, and you spot a team 17 points, and then are able to come back 24-22. In the regular season, you would think that's a great game, but it's playoff time. You lose, you're out, and all of a sudden, North Judson ended their season unexpectedly early.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team, Jay, state runner-ups last year, number 5 in the final week poll, according to the IFCA. It ended their streak of 4 straight sectional and regional titles, and that is just the beauty of the tournament, Jay. You hit it right on the head where
bad half. That's really what they had, a bad half.
A bad quarter. I mean, at that point, you're spotting a team 17 points, like you said, Jay, and that's kind of all it takes. 5 turnovers, and just like that, you sent home packing. But kudos to LaVille for getting the job done.
And it sort of reminds me a few years back, Crown Point played, I think, Lafayette Jefferson, and they had 5 turnovers in the game, and 4 of those turnovers led to points, 3 of them touchdowns, 1 field goal, and they spotted them a bunch of points, and they were out. So it's all about, in this time of the year, it's all about turnovers and being able to keep the ball and penalties as well.
LaVille now seeking their 3rd sectional title since 2021. We will talk about their future matchups on our next segment, but on the other side of sectional 41, the Bowman Academy Eagles, although a very solid season, a 6-5 overall record, they lost to the tough West Central Trojans 54-20. 2 thumbs up here from the Region Sports Network from a team that is, again, we talked about him all season long. Gary Richardson, first-year head coach, 6-5 record, not in the books for a lot of us, I would say, here at RSN, all across the area.
And kudos go out to the first-year coach, Coach Richardson. Great job. It's now all of a sudden, you get a winning record at a school like that. Now all of a sudden, next year, recruiting some sophomores, some juniors coming out. it's going to be a lot easier. That roster is going to be a lot more full come next year.
Very excited to see, especially at the 1A class. You need those guys to come out and simply play the game of football. Bumping up to 2A class, and Jay, it was a game that you and I held it down there at.
We did.
You and I were both on the call for what was a fun one, but Andrean got the win, a motivated Andrean team, if you will, 28-6 over the Wheeler Bearcats. But this was a Wheeler team. We'll start with them, Jay, who I know you know, Nick Testa, pretty well, and talking with them prior up to the game. This was a team that was fairly depleted all across the boards. A couple injuries, a couple things that happened within school and whatnot, and the guys that just couldn't suit up, to say the absolute least. And they held their own against Andrean, but still Wheeler again, a solid season overall. But, I mean, you're taking kind of everything.
4 starters out, quarterback, running back, and a couple offensive linemen out, one defensive lineman, one offensive lineman. A lot of those guys at a 2A school play both ways. And it just, boy, I'll tell you what, they fought tooth and nail against a very good, very well-coached Andrean team. And they were able to hold their own, not move the ball very much offensively. I think we had a punt return,
We did a kickoff return.
Kickoff return for a touchdown. And the funny part about that was, I think Andrean had a legal procedure penalty. They chose to take the penalty and re-kick. And then all of a sudden, I can't remember who.
Andrew Bizzieri.
Bizzieri returns the ball for a touchdown. 75. I do remember 75-yard touchdown return. Great job on his part, but great job of Coach Testa calling him out and making him redo the penalty. Anytime you're the coach that's always receiving the ball, whether it's a punt or a kickoff, you're thinking, I want those guys to run another 40 yards.
Yep.
So those guys are going to be tired. Your guys all of a sudden aren't that tired. So all of a sudden you've got these guys now running another 40-yard sprint. Let's make them do it. And that flipped the switch for the Wheeler Bearcats, which ended up the half at 14-6. And then sort of the strength of Andrean and good coaching and great offensive and defensive line play for the 59ers took over. I mean, it was physical dominance. But, I have to say kudos to Wheeler for hanging in there. But, again, a great job by Andrean at the same time.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely harp a little bit more on Andrean. But to go back to Wheeler, at least, some pieces had to step up. We talked about Andrew Bizzieri, a freshman tailback that impressed the both of us, even impressed our on-site producer, Clint Koss, somebody who is a very fun runner as a freshman. And, again, a lot of key positions had to step up with the Andrean 59ers team that is them versus everybody, if you will, with Andrean. They have that chip on their shoulder, and they're a team that, again, had a rough first half. Jay said the absolute least started out pretty sluggish, having that Week 10 bye, that one team in the 2A section with the bye.
Yeah, they were kicking the rust off that first quarter.
Right, and there was a 14-6 halftime score, which like you said on the broadcast, might be making some Andrean fans feel a little bit uneasy. Then fast forward another half, 14-0 Andrean. They won that one 28-6 about the Niners, who played very well. Brady Ellis and Gore, the other quarterback, both combined for 3 touchdowns. Tyler Vo is one of the best receivers in the area. It's just a sophomore. 105 receiving yards, had a touchdown through the air. Brady Stovall as well, tough running back as well, 105 rushing yards and a touchdown of his own. So this is an Andrean team once again, Jay. If we really want to dig deep into that defense too, did not give up any more points.
No, they did not.
Made things tough for Wheeler, and again, a very impressive unit heading into sectional championship.
Yeah, and defensively they played lights out. They didn't let the Wheeler Bearcats get the ball moving up and down the field. And basically, like you said, they pitched a shutout defensively besides that kickoff return.
So Andrean moves now to take on Rensselaer Central, who won 17-12 over the Bremen Lions at the bottom of sectional 33. We'll talk about that matchup a little bit later in the show. Class 3A sectional 25. The proud Calumet Warriors, the former school of our producer Justin Cole, could not get the job done. Unfortunately, fell 8-43. Another great season, though, I'd say, from Calumet, who, again, a lot of new faces in some big places, but a team that played overall very, very well under Coach Charles Sally, taking on a tough Mishawaka Marion squad, who now will take on the winner of Griffith and Knox. And, Jay, we'll break it down on that game. Knox 50. Griffith 35. History was made with Miles McLaughlin once again. Now the leading rusher in the state of Indiana over the course of a career. Knox got ahead of them early. Griffith made things a little bit interesting as the game kind of progressed. But Knox, once again, when you got a kid who's carrying the ball 54 freaking times, Jay, that is, and you got a kid like that, that's just tough to stop.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing is, if you can't stop him, then you try and take the pieces around him. But yet then if he still carries for 410 yards, it's sort of the old Jordan rule when they've used to play some teams and they would say, all right, we're going to ice everybody else, but we're going to let Jordan score his points. And that's the same thing they must have did with McLaughlin, but he had 410 yards. I mean, what a night. What a night. I want that guy in my fantasy football team.
That's exactly what I was thinking. 7 total touchdowns. His one pass was a completion for, I believe, 37 yards and a touchdown as well. So not only did he put it on the ground, which he is now breaking records. I saw he even was featured on Kay Adams. I'm sure you're familiar with. She has a show, she's an NFL analyst, and she has a show, and she was talking with Derrick Henry, and they brought up Miles McLaughlin's name and how close he is to, Derrick Henry's national record. And he's, I think, just about 1,000 yards away, and he told him to go break it. But that was super cool to see for Miles McLaughlin. But Jay, talking about Griffith, a team that we're much more familiar with, you're much more familiar with as well. A team that, again, hung in there against Knoxville for 4 quarters, and they won the GSSC South. We'll talk about the all-conference nods as well with the the reigning GSSC Coach of the Year in Phil Mason. But this is, again, it's a tough loss, but you look at Knox maybe next year. You have to graduate Miles McLaughlin, who's a current senior. You look at Griffith, who's now potentially returning their quarterback, returning some receivers, a running back as well, and they have a pretty beefy offensive line from what we know. So, Jay, as Garrett Van Horsen said last week, the future is pretty bright. And,
yes,
Jay, how about you kind of harp on that?
Yeah, well, I think Coach Mason has got that program rolling. I've seen them play a couple JV games throughout the year, and they did a great job. They are well coached. They are physical. They are big. They are fast at the junior high, at the JV level. So a lot of those guys are going to be filling in the spots that some of the seniors have left, and still a lot of returning pieces for Coach Mason. I think he's got it rolling there all of a sudden now. It's just like it's the bottom feeding up to the top. So I think that's where he wants it, and that's what any program really wants.
And the culture is built there, yes, Jay, which I think is the most important factor. Moving up to 4A Sectional 17, the Lowell Red Devils punch their ticket to tomorrow night with 35-0 victory over East Chicago Central. And the Hobart Brickies did just the exact same over the fellow conference mate, the KV Cougars, 43-6. Up at 5A, we will start with Sectional 9. The Munster Mustangs get their first playoff victory since, I believe, 2021, from what I saw. 46-12 over the Hammond Central Wolves, and the Maryville Pirates. A game with these two teams always seem to kind of meet, Jay. 28-7 at the Mansion over the Morton Governors. Maryville maybe didn't line up the scoreboard like we're kind of accustomed to, and Michael Hill Jr. still had a pretty solid day under center. Again, 170 passing yards, 46 rushing, 2 touchdowns to his name. Cameron Jordan, again, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this team, pick your poison, and again, Maryville, they'll win them ugly as well.
And you got J.Q. Johnson, 118 yards receiving. So, I mean, he's doing the same thing. You're spreading the ball around. It's going to be hard for a team to pick out one thing that you want to stop, because if you stop one thing, then all of a sudden everything else takes off. And with their defense, they're blitzing, their man-to-man coverage, their lateral speed, and just their aggressiveness defensively. This is a tough team to tangle with.
The sky is the limit for the Maryville Pirates, who are going for yet another sectional championship. For Morton, at least, JBK kind of closed the book on them. Again, it was a little bit, a couple turnovers, not much going offensively after kind of their week break, and now taking on a tough Maryville defense, like you said. Again, you have a freshman at quarterback. You have a lot of guys that are going to graduate to play at the next level, and a lot of young guys that are going to be real problems for this Morton squad. And the 6-4 record, Jay, that it was their best since 2019. So the athletes are there, the pieces in place, and hopefully, again, still going to be kind of a hotbed for bringing in some new faces, if that as well. And eventually hoping to try and get to that level, which in this case, Maryville's been kind of that thorn in their side for quite some time.
Yeah, especially at the 5A level, Morton's going to have to step up. But like you said, you got a freshman quarterback. The sky's the limit when it comes to that. If you can put some pieces around him, some offensive linemen, and then a couple wide receivers for him to throw to, it's going to be lights out for the next 3 years. We're going to be getting tired of saying his name for the next 3 years.
Amari Price is his name, yes, who's had a stellar freshman season. But it's all about the Maryville Pirates on this one. Their third straight win over Morton in a sectional setting. Up to the other 5A sectional 10. The Michigan City Wolves took it to the Valparaiso Vikings 35-7. Jay, this was an interesting one on the Region Sports Network. That first off, we could start with the home team, the Valparaiso Vikings, that caps off what has been kind of a very uncharacteristic season for them. A 2-8 overall record ends a streak of 7 straight sectional titles, which was the longest in the area. A team that really kind of went through a rebuilding phase where, yes, you had some pieces kind of come back, like Kellen Hosick and a couple other big names, but Just kind of one of those years where there's been they've been able to get away with graduating some talent. This year, obviously, kind of a rebuilding year for Coach Bill Marshall and the squad.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a rebuilding year. I think the key component was, talking about that offensive line. They graduated quite a few stars on that offensive line and defensive line, and when you lose those big guys up front, it's going to be tough to rebuild. So they're going to have to work from the lower levels up and get some size up to the varsity level, and soon.
But a team that is striking while the iron is hot are the Michigan City Wolves. 500 yards of offense against Valparaiso, 294 yards rushing with an 8.2 average per carry, 229 passing yards, all from the hands of Triniston Hart. Zaire McKinney, 64 yards and a touchdown. Nick Stewart, another name, 7 catches for 68 yards. Demarion Evans, a name that we've talked about a little bit, but kind of one of those pieces where Michigan City's a team that keeps guys fresh, and they have a lot of guys that could hurt you. He had 117 yards to his name. And Triniston Hart, we talked about him as a passer. Yeah, he has 3 touchdowns on the ground as well. So not bad to have from your dual threat quarterback, Jay. But I believe you've seen Michigan City at least once or twice this year. A team that is very high potent, a team that really lights up the scoreboard. And again, now a very wide open sectional, punching their ticket now to a potential tango now with their rival here pretty soon.
Yeah, here, and they're going to be playing LaPorte next week, or this upcoming tomorrow. But boy, I tell you, it's just so. Michigan City plays that upbeat offense, and they are moving the ball. Boy, it's going to be tough. Whoever they play moving forward again. They got LaPorte tomorrow, and then moving on forward from there on out. So we shall see. We'll let that sleeping dog lie for next week.
That'll be a fun one.
Yes,
though. You mentioned, LaPorte. LaPorte did beat Chester. The other side of the sectional 10, 20-17 was that final score. Their first tournament win since 2020. They actually lost to Chesterton earlier in the season, Jay. We've seen that trend a little bit. How difficult is that for a team to, no matter how that first matchup went, resulted in a loss. Maybe it was a blowout, maybe it wasn't. In this case, LaPorte lost by a couple scores to Chesterton, and obviously avenge that loss this time around. How difficult is that to kind of rebound and go back to the drawing board and take on a team that, hey, you didn't have, things didn't work out in that first meeting?
I think one of the things you got to do is you got to really break down that film. You've got to sit there and go, okay, this didn't work. How are we going to adjust pieces-wise? Do we have to move some people around? Where do we move guys around to be the most successful we possibly can? And one of the things, again, is you take those things that you did well in that game and coming up to this point in the season and say, all right, we got to focus on that, and that's what LaPorte did.
But it was quite the performance from LaPorte's Reed Raymond. Had 40 carries for 223 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Even had a halfback pass as well from what I saw. So kind of really opened up the playbook there. Kalen Natsky, LaPorte's wide receiver, had 3 catches for 122 yards. A lot of those coming on that halfback pass as well at the touchdown. Big time win there for LaPorte.
You look at Chesterton coming into the playoffs, and they went from 5-2 being third place in the Dueling Conference to now 5-5. So they really hit a slide going into the playoffs. So I think that momentum drag downwards sort of really affected them.
Yeah, it's a tough way to end the season when you have 2 of the top teams in the Dueling.
When you got Maryville and Crown Point going in for the last 2 weeks,
it's a
grind.
It's tough to say the absolute least. But when you have, again, we talked about the play and seeing Hunter Boyd, the quarterback for them as well, and how he will kind of progress over the course of his high school career. And yes, you graduate pieces like Andrew Govea, a couple pieces on the defense like Lucas Anderson. But again, this is a team that's going to hang around as well. Mark Peterson doing a great job over there. But LaPorte, what a win for them to punch their ticket come tomorrow night. We'll bump it up to 6AJ, the final section of the group of 4. We will talk about Lake Central and Crown Point face, and it was all Crown Point, 35-7. And the Penn Kingsmen also got a big win at the Warpath, 55-7, setting up a date with those 2 teams. And we'll talk about all the teams that will play each other on our next segment. For Jay Simmons, Justin Cole, our producer, I'm Mike Dewan. You are watching Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville. We are more than tires. We'll be back here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Hi, my name is Mark Macknick. I'm the owner of Mark Macknick CPA firm in Highland, Indiana on Kennedy Avenue. I've been working with Region Sports for years now. Started working with Chris years ago, just on some special projects, advertising here and there. After a while, kind of increased the advertising. Mainly was doing it for the community involvement. It's such a great network and program they do with the high school sports. But as time went by, I started getting on there more frequently. And then the phone starts ringing. And I was getting calls all the time from people. Hey, I saw your ad on so-and-so football game. I saw your ad on a basketball game. And it's really helped my business. It's increased the volume. We're a tight community in Northwest Indiana, sports-wise, and just a lot of community involvement. So that's mainly why I got into it. I remember watching one game. It was a basketball game, and I think there was a little bit of an altercation. And as the altercation was happening, my ad was right on the bottom, and someone typed in, "I wonder what Mark Macknick's thinking right now." And I was thinking, "Wow, this is awesome." It's really been a great feature for my business. It's the only advertising I do. I don't advertise anywhere else other than Region Sports. It's for the business, but mainly for the involvement with the community. I played high school baseball here in Highland, and ever since I've been advertising on Region Sports, a lot of my old coaches are now my clients. A lot of my old teammates come in here. My recommendation, if you're a business here in Northwest Indiana, I think Region Sports is, for your money, it's one of the best places that you can advertise. I mean, I can advertise on billboards. I could do anywhere I want to. And I choose Region Sports, mainly because I get a lot of feedback, especially on the high school level. A lot of the parents, if they can't make a game, they're watching it online. They're watching a replay, the grandparents. So it's done wonders for my business, and it's my go-to for advertising. It's the only spot I would advertise. So if you're a business owner in the area, really look into advertising on Region Sports. It's going to be well worth your money, and you'll make tenfold on what you're spending. Region Sports Network, they're the only game in town, but they're more than just a game.
Back here on the Region Sports Network for Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville. We are More Than Tires, coming to you live from our Center Bank studio at the newly opened Diamond Plate Pub and Eatery at the Athletic Performance Factory. Mike Dewan, Justin Cole, Jay Simmons in the house. We got Chris Ramirez in the house. And our special guest coming for our next segment to break down our games on the Region Sports Network. But Jay, now it's time to get into our games. But first off, we got some guys to shout out.
Hey, we got to shout out. Getting a great haircut's like running a great play. Go to the apps, go to the Booksy app, and go to Level Up Lounge and book your next haircut appointment with Big Al, Big C, or Axel. And they are right across the street from the Lantern Man here on Kennedy Avenue in Highland. Book those guys up, call them out, and get your haircut there. Again, Booksy app.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Hit up Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland. Jay, before we get into the sectional matchups as well, we also had our first list come out of the all-conference nods, this time in the Greater South Shore, as you see on your screen. Feel free to take a screenshot if you haven't seen on our Facebook, on our Instagram as well. This list was supplied from everybody. It was all voted on by the coaches, of course, as all those works. And more importantly as well, the Coach of the Year, one of the few conferences that does a Coach of the Year in the football world, Phil Mason of Griffith. I think rightfully deserved. It was Nick Tess's for a few years. It was kind of a two-horse race this year with Griffith and how they did. 9-2 overall record. Good to see Phil Mason now. After quite the year he's had,
yes,
Jay,
he has.
He missed a couple games as well, but has turned around. What has been quite the program over there at Griffith.
Yeah, I think it's his third year there, and he's done a great job turning that program around. And, you only see great things going on there. When you talk about football in Northwest Indiana, you talk Griffith, you talk Hobart, you talk Lowell, you talk Ann Grand, and now you throw in Crown Point.
Yep.
Well, when those teams are going well, everything seems to be right in the universe.
I couldn't agree more, Jay, but a big shout-out to those student athletes who made the list, either honorable mention or on the first team or whatever. You guys make this all happen. A bunch of talented individuals. But, Jay, time to get into the sectional championships come tomorrow night. We'll talk about at least the local games, and we'll also talk about who those potential teams would play. But be sure you can find all these games on our hometown scoreboard come tomorrow night, courtesy of our friends at Strack and Van Til. But at sectional 41 at 1A is LaVille. They are taking on the host, West Central. Two teams hoping to make a little bit of history. LaVille seeking their first sectional since 2023, would only be their 7th sectional title in program history, while West Central seeking their first since 05, only their 4th. So, Jay, although these are two teams that's kind of outside of our coverage area, the chance to make history, an opportunity, it's something that is you have to be grateful for, but also, it is one of those things that makes these Friday nights so special.
Yes, it is. And, both of these teams can check off the box saying, hey, we made it to the sectional championship game, and all of a sudden now you look at these coaches are having a great season. One of them's going to come out victorious naturally, but both of these teams are winners going in because they made it this far. And, and I think West Central, since 05, wow, this would be a great thing for their program. But again, LaVille also. And LaVille coming in off the big victory against North Judson, so maybe they can keep it rolling.
Yep, LaVille recently beat North Judson at North Judson. Let's go back on the road again to take on West Central, who's coming off of that win against Bowman Academy. Winner of that one will take on the Pioneer Panthers against the Carroll Cougars outside of Flora. Up at 2A with sectional 33, the Andrean 59ers on the road once again. We saw them last week, Jay, a defense that is stout and an offense that gets the job done. Now they travel down to Rensselaer Central to take on a team that is just as hot, a team that has I believe a 9-1 record up to this point, or maybe be better than that, but they're looking for their first sectional title, Jay, since 2014, and this has been their second 9-1 season since 2015. This is a team that is trying to kind of shake some things up in that 2A class. Van Draen obviously coming in the top 5 team in the coaches' poll.
And the thing is, I was looking at this earlier today. I was looking at both of the teams since we haven't seen Rensselaer Central play at all this year. I sort of look at the breakdown of the schedules, and you got to give kudos to to Andrean on their scheduling, because they're playing 4 and 5A schools. And, they're one loss to Maryville throughout the season. So it's just like you match up schedule wise. Andrean is much the superior team in this one, but Rensselaer Central still coming in on a 9-1 season, so it's going to be a great game.
Got to get the job done. Their second 9-win season since 2015, led by longtime head coach Chris Meeks, who's done some great things with the program. Andrean, though, they have the track record in this time, like you said, Jay, 22 sectional titles in program history, hoping to make it a 23rd down at Rensselaer Central, but a team not to be taken lightly. They will take on the winner of the South Mounties and the Lewis Cass Kings. Once you start to kind of venture outside of the counties, Jay, you really get to learn about some other schools.
Yes.
How many great mascots there are. Really kind of
you got to like the Monties.
The Monties out of South Mount, the Lewis Cass Kings. Sorry, I got a chuckle out of that one. We'll move on to Class 3A sectional 25 here. The Mishawaka Marion Knights take on the Knox Redskins, Jay. Again, two teams kind of outside of our area. Mishawaka Marion, though, kind of a Cinderella run here, a 4-7 record. This is a team, Jay, that you talked about Andrean's tough schedule and how they put together quite the season. Mishawaka Marion, although a record that does not look too great on paper, they played Mishawaka, who's going to be playing for a sectional championship coming tomorrow night. South Bend St. Joseph, who's no slouch as well. Elkhart, New Prairie, and who we're going to be talking about later in the show. So although that record is not appealing, it's very, very deceiving.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're looking at Mishawaka Marion playing 4A, 5A, 6A schools week in and week out. So they have something to prove coming into Knox and seeing if they can shut down their top running back right there for Knox, the number 5 guy, I think 5-6 guy in the country.
4th place all time nationally.
I was off.
All time, by the way. Jay trails a man by the name, chasing a man by the name of Derrick Henry. I don't know if you guys know him. He's currently doing some big things in the NFL. Yes, about the Knox Redskins. This is really kind of the golden era, if you will, of Knox football. Yes, you have Miles McLaughlin, who is shattering state records. You also have a head coach on the sideline in Russ Radke, who is looking for his 21st sectional title as a head coach. It would be his 4th straight at Knox, and this is a team that is, again, they've only won 4 sectional titles, all after 2019, so and 1 regional title as well. So gunning for their 5th, but yeah, I mean, this is a Knox really, I mean, since kind of the 2020s, especially when Russ Radke kind of took over and Miles McLaughlin kind of being completely correlated with that as well. Yeah. It's been a fun time to be a Knox Redskin.
Well, and you got to think, Russ Radke knows how to get a team prepared for a sectional championship, knows how to prepare the week of practice before the sectional championship. So he's going to get it done coaching-wise. Let's see if they can go out, and Miles McLaughlin can execute. And the 5 guys in front of him, I should
That's
say.
for sure. You got to give a big shout out to the offensive line. Seeing some interviews with Miles McLaughlin, that's one group that, of course, he credits very humble individual. And you better, right? They do get the job done up there when you have 11,000 yards to your name. I'm sure the offensive line has at least something to do with it. So big shout out to the boys up front. Winner of that one will take on the winner of the Garrett Railroaders, another great mascot name, and the Angola Hornets up at Class 4A. We'll keep this one brief because we'll talk about it later. But the Lowell Red Devils take on the Hobart Frickies, 2 NCC opponents. Jay, very excited for this one.
Yeah, and they're both thirsty for a sectional championship. So 2021's been this is the last time one of these 2 teams have won. So they're both going to be hungry out there tomorrow night.
And it's been all really New Prairie, but now since Hobart has kind of dethroned New Prairie a little bit ago, Lowell beat Hanover Central in the first week, and then they beat East Chicago Central. Hobart beat KV last week. We kind of figured this would be a collision course kind of heading to this week, and sure enough, we got the wish that we won. The winner of that one will take on the winner of South Bend St. Joseph and the Mishawaka Cavemen. Moving things up to sectional 9, the Munster Mustangs take on the Maryville Pirates at Maryville. Munster seeking their first sectional since 1996. But these Maryville Pirates, Jay, this is a team that is always just gunning for that top spot. They seem to kind of be a shoo-in kind of once the sectional rolls around. They might just be, and Munster has really kind of turned a corner in year 2 with Robinson St. Louis, but we've talked so much about this Maryville team and just how deep they are and especially how aggressive they are defensively.
Defensively, they're super aggressive. They're going to play some man coverage like we talked about earlier. But the thing is, can you keep up offensively scoring with that Maryville offense? Because they're going to put some points on the board, and it's going to be, can you stop them? And then now all of a sudden, now that you've made the stop defensively, can you put up some points offensively? And I don't think Munster Mustangs are going to be able to hang with these guys. They're cut out for better things.
It's going to be an uphill battle. Big shout out to Zion Richards. He'll have his hands full. He's the defensive leader for Munster. But yeah, you can go on and on about the Maryville offensive weapons. Michael Hill Jr., J.Q. Johnson, Cameron Jordan, Ryan L. Lewis, Mikhail Smoot, you name it. They got a big game over there at the Purple Palace. Winner of that one will take on the winner of the other Class 5A sectional. Michigan City will take on the host, LaPorte Slicers. LaPorte coming off that big win last week, Jay. And
they do it two weeks in a row.
That's kind of the question. These 2 teams played in Week 8. It was a 20-7 win for Michigan City at LaPorte, but it's, a game we'll talk about a little bit later, Jay. But 2 teams very, very familiar with each other. And again, with these 5A sectionals as well, with a bunch of Duneland written, this sectional alone, very Duneland written with 4 Duneland schools, the 5A as well, teams that are familiar with each other. But this, again, sectional 10, don't know if this is how we drew it up, but one we're super excited for.
Yes, we are. And it's going to be a fun Friday night.
That's all it is. And we'll talk about our coverage come tomorrow night. But moving up to Class 6A, we'll keep it brief on this one because we'll be back to talk about it a little bit more with our special guest. The Crown Point Bulldogs go to the Penn Kingsmen, and the winner of that one plays the winner of Fort Wayne Northrop and Fort Wayne Carroll. But, Jay, I think we got to step aside. We'll take a little bit of a break, and we'll welcome on our special guest for the evening is Wally McCormick, longtime head coach around the area. He'll be here to kind of help us break down some of the top games, especially the games on the Region Sports Network. For Jay Simmons and I will be back here on Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Ava, let's go.
Try it on.
The shortest distance between 2 people is a smile. That's why we're committed to fighting hunger in our communities. Until everyone has a reason to smile. Stratton Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Companies Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
From lighting up Friday Night Football to powering the classrooms that shape the students of Lake County, IBEW Local 697 is proud to support our region's schools and the communities we call home. A career as a union electrician could be your next great move. Your next cap might be a hard hat. IBEW Local 697, powering futures, powering the region.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialist.
Hi, this is Tim down at Tire Pros and Auto Superstore, 5200 Cleveland in Maryville. 219-887-3333 is our phone number. We've been serving the region and building relationships with our valued customers for the past 23 years. We have a wide variety of services, quality tires with the best warranty in the nation, and some of the most skilled mechanics I've ever worked with. Let us exceed your expectations. We're setting a new standard. Come on down, ask for Mike or Tim. We'll take excellent care of you. Thank you.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
Back here on Region Football Weekly, Mike DeWan, Jay Simmons, and now joined by Coach Wally McCormick. Coach, thank you for coming on down, talking some ball with us. How we doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're super excited to get going, Coach. We got some a big slate, to say the absolute least, of games, and Jay and I were kind of harping at it, but the 4, 5, and 6A especially, we got a lot of local teams, a lot of teams that are familiar with each other.
Sure.
And I think we could kind of start it off here with the 4A class, Coach, and I guess before we even get into some of the games, the tournament time. I mean, it is one of the most fun times of the season. It's win or go home. It's obviously tensions kind of ride high, but it's when things need to be perfect. And Coach, I mean, your overall experience kind of in this time and how important kind of things get and what makes kind of this period of the year fun.
Well, I've heard a lot of people say it, that winning a football sectional is the hardest to win because it spans 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, that's a lot of people that could get hurt. That's a lot of people that could not make grades. There's a lot of people that could get sick. So it's very difficult. And in our region, we're so close that always these sectional championship games are rematches of games that happened in the regular season. That when I was at Hobart, I think we played Lowell in the sectional finals 6 years in a row, and the other years it was Griffith. So it was one of those to where you're at the end of the day, the best two teams ought to be playing in this game, and I think in this sectional they certainly are.
Now, who was the funnest to coach against when you were coaching? Who's the sectional championship game? Was it? I think Coach Kennedy was at Lowell, and you had Coach Racky at Griffith at those times, correct? Did you love matching up, especially a second time in the season?
Both of them were fun, but no doubt, Russ. I mean, I loved when we played Griffith. It was, Griffith and Hobart was a special. And even when I was at Andrean and Griffith was a special thing. So it was always fun to play against Coach Radke. Learned a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those games where when you have so many different guys, there's so many just top level. I mean, talent all across the board, both on the sidelines and obviously on the football field. But, Coach, we got to get into the games that come here tomorrow night. And we'll start with the 4A class in Sectional 17. The Lowell Red Devils take on the Hobart Brickies, two teams you saw over the course of the season, Coach. Two teams that it was kind of a collision course. Like we said, hey, let's see if we could beat this team twice. Two teams that one we saw the bracket kind of come out. We saw top and bottom. Here they are. Now they're at the Brickyard, Coach. Your overall rundown kind of on this one.
Well, football's changed a ton over the course of the last 10 years, and both of those teams, I think, are really good examples of quarterbacks that can run, cause problems. Defense in football is about math and getting numbers, and if you have a quarterback that's actively involved in the running game, you're gonna win the math. And both of those teams, Alex Tatum from Hobart, he's thrown for 1,400 yards, but he's also run for 700. So he's a problem. He's a load. He's a moose. They line up. Hobart lines up in a lot of unconventional stuff, and him as a threat in the run game with Max Pickett. Who obviously his dad was a great player at Lowell, so Max is wearing number 6, and so that's a neat thing for the Lowell game. And Lowell's the same thing. Kalwinski, their quarterback's thrown for 1,100, and he's also rushed for 900. Between throwing and passing, he's responsible for 25 touchdowns. So the quarterbacks are going to play a huge part of the game. You can beat people in a regular season with smoke and mirrors, but the second time you play them, they have all 10 of your game films. They've already seen what you tried to do once, so usually the better team ends up winning in this situation. Hobart's got 2 really good tight ends that look like Division I players, big, strong, good-looking kids. They have Max is a really good running back. He's about 200 pounds. He's a problem. Early in the season, Hobart had a lot of guys going both ways, and I think that maybe some struggles that they had early were because of people going both ways, but at this point of the year, the weather's nice. It's not hot. It's not going to matter. Lowell, with Coach McKim coming in, new offensive system. We saw him in the summer. They have a lot of Coach Radke in them. Coach Radke's stuff that he was running at New Prairie, and then when Casey was at New Prairie with Coach Gum, who's now at LaPorte. But you watch him on tape, it's very similar to what New Prairie was doing, and they present issues with the quarterback because he's skilled. He can run and throw.
Now, just going into the 10th week or the 11th week, do you try and go against your norms, your tendencies? Do you try and throw somebody off? Do you try and just go against what the other team is expecting?
I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people fall into the trap of we need to do something different. But probably most people that are successful would say, do you, be good at you, execute, don't turn the ball over, win special team, those kind of things. Certainly, like in 6A, it's a little different, and 5A because you have that bye week, so people are drawing stuff up in the dirt during that first week. But then when it comes down to game time, it's you are who you are.
That's right.
That it's tough when you play a team a second time because plan A may or may not have been successful the first time you played them. You can't go into that game with plan A again. You may play plan A, but you better have a B and a C because they just spent 2 weeks getting ready for football's different. We exchange every film. So Hobart's got 10 films on Lowell, and Lowell's got 10 films on Hobart. So nobody's tricking anybody in this game. It's and when it comes down to it, these playoff games they're all the same. Don't give up big plays. Don't turn the ball over, and win the special teams. And both coaches will tell their kids that. It sounds like coach talk, but
you're right,
true.
And that's it. And maybe minimize the penalties, right?
Yep.
Jay, you'll be at the game tomorrow. You'll be doing color. What are you most excited for? A packed environment. You did a Hobart playoff game already, but this one going to be a fun one.
Yeah, against New Prairie, it was crowded, but not that crowded. I'm going to get there about 5:30, and I'm going to see the parking lot already full at 5:30. And unless they have a metal detector at the gate, there's going to be a lot of cowbells out there on both sides in the stands. There's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great crowd. Both communities are out there to support their teams, and it's going to be fun. I think the most important thing, and you probably can expound on this, is the atmosphere at the game.
That was next for me.
And the Boneyard was the same way.
Yes.
When we would show up at Griffith at 5 o'clock. It would be packed, and people would be up against the fence yelling at us and screaming at us, and it was
definitely PG, right, Coach? Definitely.
Definitely that. It's two towns that love football. It's two towns that historically have had a ton of success. So it's a perfect game.
Yeah, we're excited. And then again, that game will be on the Region Sports Network. The video coverage will be found on the IHSAA Champions Network. That'll be on around 7 o'clock. We'll also have the audio feed from that coming in. But Jay, again, you'll be
that's
at
right. Hey, the A crew's going to be there tomorrow night. Oh, that's me.
I'll get you tooting your own horn, but again, we cannot wait to get out to and have some fun. We'll keep things rolling. We'll talk about. We'll move up to the 5A sectional 10 between Michigan City and LaPorte. A game we'll have a silent scoreboard for on the Region Sports Network. Two Duneland teams as well that we're familiar with. Coach, your breakdown on this one.
Well, for starters, they hate each other.
Yeah.
And traditionally, those games, whoever has been better, that's always a dogfight. LaPorte plays great against Michigan City and historically has. The first game, I think the final was 21-7, but it was 7-0 going into the fourth quarter.
That's right.
LaPorte did a lot of really good things against us last week that were things that they hadn't done all year. Lined up an empty, direct snap to Reed Raymond, and Michigan City plays a 7-man defense, so they're going to give them 8 gaps and 9 gaps and 10 gaps. And Reed Raymond is a load, 6'3", 215 pounds, and he's way faster than he looks. He's a great baseball player. He's a shortstop on the baseball team, and he's durable as heck. To carry the ball as many times as he does and still just keep getting up and do it again. He's really good. City's a different animal. They got a new offensive coordinator in that moved into the area. They are a spread team, 2x2, 3x1, a lot of jet sweep. But their quarterback, Trent Hart, he's thrown for like 2,200, and he's ran for 800. So Zaire McKinney, who's going to Northern Illinois, is their best receiver. He's a problem that you're afraid to play him by yourself if you're LaPorte. So now if you're going to move 2 over, quarterback runs become an issue the other way. So it'll be a good game. I think City, LaPorte just last week I don't know that it was any different than the first time we played them. They didn't make mistakes. City has been, if you look at City's games throughout the season, they lost to a really good Lafayette Jeff team early in the year. Yep. They lost to CP and Maryville. But other than that, Michigan City's they're a load on offense. Their defensive line is better than people think. And their guys in the back are capable of playing man, so they can commit more guys to the run. Ought to be good. It's definitely going to be a battle of wills. LaPorte is playing now like an old Lowell team. When you play them, you may only get the ball 5 times. So you feel the pressure that you're going to have to score in each of those. And Michigan City likes to play a little bit faster. They're a no-huddle team. They're going to throw it around a lot. I don't know what the weather forecast is for tomorrow.
But
it's going to be a little chillier than it has been up this week. I don't know about rain. I think the rain's moving in and moving out by game time tomorrow.
Hart is a problem because he doesn't run the ball a lot, but he's very good when he does it. And they have 3 guys that play wideout that are all cause issues.
Yeah, no. And you talked about these 2 teams, Coach. You said when you opened up, they don't like each other, to say the absolute least. And when you get into a game like that, Coach, where you understand it's going to be emotional, 2 teams that, again, they want this one bad. And you talked about it. You have to limit mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes, as Jay, you kind of said with a game previous, is limiting penalties, limiting stupid after the whistle calls, and limiting those mistakes. And again, we're in week 12 right now. So, Coach, how would you gear up for a week like this when you're taking on a team coming forward that, hey, they might say a couple things, we might say a couple things, but let's keep it clean. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot come Friday night.
Well, you have that conversation. I don't know if anybody's listening. You hope that, for one, that the officiating crew cuts that off off the bat.
Sets the tone.
The opening kickoff, people are going to be running them out.
You've got to set the tone right away.
The veteran officiating crews will end that right off the bat, and then it's not a problem. I think both teams got to be super excited because Valpo's had such a stranglehold on that sectional for like the last 5 years that this is an opportunity for somebody new to win it.
Yeah.
LaPorte going into the tournament, they won week 9 against Portage. They beat us in the first round of sectionals, so they've got 2 in a row. So LaPorte, there's definitely not buy-in issues on what it is that they're doing. Like, their kids are believing that they're pretty good. And City is as talented as anybody. I mean, their defensive coaches do a really good job. They're very prepared. But what LaPorte does on offense now is a problem if you're a 7-man defense. And Michigan City plays a 4-2-5, so they're a 7-man front. And LaPorte's going to play with 2 tight ends and 3 tight ends and empty. And if LaPorte's going to lose, they're going to lose with the ball in Reed's hand over and over again. And, I don't know. It should be an exciting game. Two very different
I was saying two contrasting styles. Do you think maybe Michigan City might make an adjustment and bring an extra lineman in to try and slow down that run game?
I don't know that they'll bring it's not in their nature. They'll spin a safety down,
right?
Which gives them 8. But then with LaPorte lining up in these empty formations, you got to cover people, even if they're not going to throw. You still got to cover people, so it spreads them out. Kind of becomes like Red Rover. There's so many people at the point of attack that he has an opportunity to do it. And people think Reed Raymond's is big, then that means he's not fast. They couldn't be farther from the truth because he has the ability to beat some people on the edge. City can score. City's special teams are really dangerous. Their kickoff return and their punt return. When Zaire's back there, Zaire is a threat to score a touchdown on every play. And they have 3 other guys that are just as good. 2 running backs that play for them that are both really skilled. And Trent is good. Their quarterback, he's tough.
They blocked a couple too. That Michigan City punt return team. They've gotten and caused things, pretty
against us.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think one thing, if I'm LaPorte, A, I'm punting the ball out of bounds, so that way they can't set up the return, and B, on kickoffs, I'm squibbing it, so that way they can't set up their but then you're still getting good field position for them, but still I think that takes a key element out of that Michigan City.
And that's where weather comes in, too, because LaPorte's kicker is good enough to kick it in the end zone every time. But if the wind is 20 miles an hour one way, obviously you're going to get it in the end zone that way. Same with the throw when the weather is. Michigan City's defensive linemen, or their 2 D tackles, are really, really good. And they have an inside linebacker. I think his number is 0. I'm horrible with names. I just know numbers from watching film. They have an inside linebacker that's like 130 tackles. Like, he's really
Borelli, I believe, or they got a couple. Del Rio as well. They got a few guys that can fly.
I think it's Buzzkirk or something.
In Michigan City, yes.
Michigan City.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Del Rio's number 9, right?
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, he plays he plays tight end and he plays DN for them. He's been a 3-year starter that's really been a good player for them for 3 years. They did it. I tip my hat to their coaches. They had a great plan going in against us, and you try to take away what the other team's best at. They were able to do it on Friday, and I'm sure that's what they're trying to do this week. It's
going to be a great one over there. 2 teams that don't like each other, Coach. And before we get into our last game, you say us, and again, we're with Wally McCormick here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Chesterton and the program that you've been at for quite some time. I know your son, Brady, that's correct. He was been there for a couple of years as well, did some great things. Coach, your overall assessment on the season, it's a tough end to the regular season schedule. But again, you got some young pieces, had a young quarterback this year. And of course, as all teams do, they graduate some senior talent. But Coach, 2025 wrapped up for you guys. And how would you take in this year?
Well, a month ago, we were 5-2 and feeling pretty good about ourselves. Our schedule is difficult the last 2 weeks with Maryville and Crown Point. And we had gone early in the season without any injuries. Depth was a problem for us this year. And the Crown Point game, we lost 4 offensive starters in the first half that didn't play against Maryville, and only one of them played in the sectional. And, injuries are a part of it.
That's right.
So I don't know. We had a really good group of kids that showed up and worked hard every day. We're graduating a lot of seniors that we started 9 seniors on offense. I think in the sectional game we were 8 seniors and 3 sophomores in the sectional on offense. Defensively, we got some kids coming back, but are you ever happy when you're not playing in Week 12?
No, you're not.
I mean, I'm going to go watch the Hobart game, but I don't. We have good kids.
That's right.
Our league this year was weird, because CP, you got CP's a couple notches ahead of everybody, and so is Maryville, and then everybody else is about the same. That on a there's 1 touchdown scores between Valpo and LaPorte and us, and so that everybody's in the lump. And most people don't realize in those close games how few plays really determine the outcome of who's going to win. Did you catch a ball on 3rd down, or did you jump off, get a holding penalty on 1st down that killed the drive? And that's where it is, and that's where we're at. So hopefully the big dogs of our conference and Michigan City and LaPorte. Hopefully, our season's over, so we're rooting for not only the DAC people but everybody in Northwest Indiana.
That's right.
In a perfect world, we'd have 5 teams playing in Indianapolis, and I'd be all for it.
Sure thing, Coach. Pinchus for dreaming, right? In that case, but still a heck of a season for you guys, to say the absolute least, Coach. We're moving up to 6A, Sectional 1, a game we'll have on the Region Sports Network, coming to you live from Freed Field. Video coverage for that one. It'll begin around 6:15 to 6:30 kickoff time between the Crown Point Bulldogs and the Penn Kingsmen. The battle of unbeatens in this one, guys. Coach, we'll start with you. We talked about Crown Point and how they're kind of a few notches above people in the DAC, and a team that, again, gives you different looks, led by head coach Craig Buzia. Your overall, what you've seen from Crown Point and, what they're doing in 2025.
Offensively, they're extremely difficult to defend because of the multitude of things that they do. They substitute different than people. They substitute late. They bring in personnel groups all the time, do some muddle huddle stuff. For Crown Point, they have the luxury of being able to, if they want to, go bully ball and just beat you up. And if they want to finish you, they can do that. And then they got a single wing package. That they do it. Their coaching staff is very, very good. They have good players. Their offensive line is nasty, physical. Cicero, who plays tackle, and the Reddick that plays guard for them. Those two are as nasty. It's how you want your guys to play. They play hard. Right. They play to the whistle. And the success that they've had they have the right attitude. They're really hungry. And their depth is good, so they practice well together. They're pretty good.
They are.
And defensively, I think defensively they're better than they were last year. I don't mean that as disrespectful to last year, because they were obviously a great team last year. They're doing a lot more in the back end, playing a lot of different coverages. John Snyder is the defensive coordinator there now, and they're playing a little more cover 2 and cover 4. But their nose guard, Gonzalez, number 99, is really, really good. And in that, the defensive scheme that they play, if you've got a good nose, that's a problem. Their 2 outside linebackers are amazing. The one kid's a freshman, AJ Summers, plays one of the outside, but the other guy, and I'm going to say this wrong, Van Titchell, he's a monster. Yeah. And Fanton, their free safety, is great. So, and that's not even including probably the best player in the conference, and Trevor.
Yep. Trevor Gibbs, two-way player, tight end, and linebacker.
Yeah, he changes. He changes. They've got 2 guys that got reps, and God forbid something happens, but they have a backup, and most people don't at the quarterback position.
But hey, we got the Penn Kingsmen. We talked about the battle of unbeatens in this one. Crown Point, we talked about, how great they have been through these past few seasons. But the Penn Kingsmen, although they've lost a couple, pieces of transfers and lost a couple pieces to graduation, they find themselves into a 10-0 start, now hosting a sectional championship game, and they got some pieces as well. But I don't know if this is a surprising start, just seeing how many, again, you lose a transfer receiver to Elkhart who's going to play some high-level football and replace many other pieces. But nonetheless, the Penn Kingsmen are here, and then they're hoping to dethrone the Crown Point Bulldogs, who have won this section for these past few seasons.
Well, and before we feel sorry for the Kingsmen, you're right. They lost the Bardo kid. Yep. He transferred. Yep. They did get a move in that's 6'4", 220 that does play wide receiver, that is a Division I player. They're 2 outside linebackers. One of them is Marcus Freeman's son, who's going to be a scholarship wrestler. The other kid's is a younger kid, been offered by SEC schools and Big Ten. The Kingsmen got some guys as well.
For sure.
I would say if you're gonna, Penn's got a coaching staff of 18 guys that have been around there for a long time. Both schools have great strength coaches. Both schools have great coaching staffs. Both schools have great players. They play a lot different. Crown Point, I think, at some point in the game was going to try to go bully ball, pack it in, and try to run them over. Where Penn is a little more throw it sideways. They run a ton of screen passes. Defensively, they play a really weird version of a 4-3 where they play a 4-1 box all the time, and their 2 outside linebackers are special. Their defensive line are coached really well, so it'll be it's an interesting kind of clash of styles between those two. Now, if you're going to criticize Penn, they're 10-0. They beat one team with a winning record.
I was going to say strength of schedule.
Elkhart was 500 or so maybe when they played them. They beat South Bend St. Joe last week, who was 10-0.
They beat Valpo, but not very handily in the first week.
Yeah, first week. I think that was 21-13. So, yeah, when you look at the 6As up here, and obviously the 6As, they really kind of trickle down to the bigger spots, of course, of the state of Indiana being the biggest class. But, when you look at common opponents, stuff like that, you can easily get caught up in that. But, a battle of unbeatens. A chance for an opportunity for Penn, who, seeing some videos on them, these are some guys that they want to take down Crown Point. Because you have that team that has been that thorn in your side, who, again, Crown Point beat them in the regional a few seasons ago. Then last year they skunked them in the sectional championship. So Penn, I got to tell you, they're going to be coming hungry. And I guess, Coach, I'll ask you this question. How does Crown Point, getting on a bus ride, traveling to these far distances, going out of Mishawaka to act like it's, again, you're not going to get close to a home game when you're going an hour and a half away, but Penn has that to their advantage where they can walk out and play a game of football, while Crown Point, they got to gear up and get on a bus, and your whole day is kind of thrown off.
I think that Crown Point's got enough maturity on the coaching staff and on their team that they have bigger goals than this. So, they're not going to be overwhelmed or taken in, by the moment. The bus drive, the time change, those are things that are inconvenient. But, Buzz and their coaching staff, they've done this 100 times.
Right.
They'll leave an hour earlier. They'll go there and try to make the day as normal as they can. And people say, well, Freed Field's a tough place to play. It is, because Penn's been really good. That's why it's a tough place to play. I think if you put Penn in Crown Point's schedule and Crown Point in Penn's schedule, both teams are still 10-0. Penn was really young last year. So I'm sure that they have, there's some cool ties. The strength coach at Penn is a kid named Matt Cates, who's a Portage kid that played for Buzz. So there's some of that, and that it's a good matchup of.
It's going to be moving some chess pieces around, making some halftime adjustments.
It is. Penn plays really different on offense. Tons of screens and tons of sideways stuff. So it becomes box counts. You got a 6-man box. We're going to throw it sideways, and if you get it, so Crown Point does a lot of multiple things on defense, which I think will be, which I think will help them. Crown Point's going to win the game. Can we run the ball? They can throw. They have good receivers.
Sure.
But when they run the ball, now their bootleg game becomes a problem, and their screen game becomes a problem. At some point, if the Bulldogs are going to lose, 39 is going to have the ball over and over again. And if you want to beat the Bulldogs, you're going to have to tackle Trevor a bunch of times.
That's right.
Because Trevor plays both, and I think he was banged up a little bit in the year. But those guys like that, smart coaches, and their coaching staff at Crown Point is great. They're pacing him during the course of the season because they know that they're going to need him week 12, week 13. Sure. So if it's a win or go home, they're not losing without fully handing it to 39 as many times.
Yeah, he's a beast to bring down. I've seen him run a couple games, and defensive backs did not like to see him breaking free.
I would say that there's two kids in our league that really change a game.
Yeah.
And he's one of them. And the quarterback from Maryville is unbelievable. He impacts so many things in the game. Those two guys are the big dogs, on their respective teams. But I think that Crown Point's going to have an advantage up front. Is what I think.
We're stoked. I'd say we're stoked for this one, just as fans of region football, and to see, again, a chance for opportunity and a chance to make history as teams do in this case. And we'll kind of shut the book. The winner of that game, by the way, plays the winner of Fort Wayne Northrop and Fort Wayne Carroll. But, Coach, I'll leave you with this. It's a very bittersweet time where, yes, if you're on that side, you make some history. If you're on the other side, again, you say goodbye to a bunch of kids and you gear up for next season. What is that like, being kind of on both sides of the coin over your career?
It's awful. I don't. What can you say to a kid?
Yeah. That's right.
You tell them you love them, you give a hug, and they're crying. It's a very emotional time for the parents, especially the parents of the seniors, because that this has been their family thing since their kid was in Pop Warner or whatever he did all the time. I don't think you look at your roster. The sophomores, they don't have a clue. Right? They just want to dress, and the juniors just want to get on the field. as sad as this sounds, there's very few people that really care if you win. And the seniors are all bought into that because they, we tell them every week, you're only guaranteed 4 more, and you could get hurt tomorrow. It's a very emotional time. It's neat to see the seniors really become closer and more loyal to each other as that's going on, because I think for the first time in their careers, they start thinking about, the ending is near, and those are tough conversations, but those are conversations you got to have, and it's different, when it's your kid. And I don't say that as a coach, but I mean, it's when your son or daughter finishes their career, and in your head, you're thinking about, man, every junior miss tournament that I took my daughter to, or pitching lesson, or all of the, it was really hard for me personally with my 2 kids, just thinking about that. That was such a big part of what our family did. Every weekend you're at a baseball tournament or something, and the football is the same way. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, the winner's good for them, but everybody but 5 teams are going to be upset and crying.
That's right. And it's one thing special about football is, for a lot of these kids, this will be the last time they'll put the pads on for competition, in basketball, baseball, whatever, any other sport, but football. This will be the last time a strong majority of these kids will never put that helmet on in competition again.
And those that do, it's different.
Yes.
It's very, it's a business, it's a job. It's not you and your boys that you played with. Do you remember when we played Griffith and Pop Warner and those, those kind of, it is very, very different. But that's what makes high school sports great, I think.
It's I couldn't have said it better myself. A beautiful perspective, and kind of, again, being a parent, being a coach of a kid who's, and seeing so many different players over your time, over your career, Coach. Couldn't have said it better ourselves. But thank you for Coach Wally McCormick for joining us. We appreciate you coming on down to the Athletic Performance Factory, breaking some games down for us. But that'll do it for us here.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you coming down. It's great to see you.
Thanks, buddy.
Wally's going to be joining us. The coach is going to be joining us from here on out. Going to be with us for basketball season as well, so we're looking forward to it. Thank you, Wally.
I'll try not to screw up.
And if you do, it's all right.
Yeah, he's working for free, too.
Well, that'll do it from us here on Region Football Weekly. For Coach McCormick, again, thank you so much for coming out. For Jay Simmons, always, keeping things down as the co-host here. Chris Ramirez in the house, the executive producer, the man with the plan. Justin Cole, our producer, doing a great job. As always, Zach Miller was here as well. For Doug Schaefer, opening up his doors for us here at the Diamond Plate Pub and Eatery. Again, newly opened as well. Feel free to come on down here at the Athletic Performance Factory in Highland. And, of course, our sponsor to make this thing happen in the first place, Tire Pros in Maryville. We are more than tires. That'll do it for all of us here on Region Football Weekly. Go watch some great football tomorrow, Sectional Championship Friday. This has been a production of the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Level up your haircut at Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland. With over 30 years of combined experience, walk in today and get treated by some of the best in the business. To book an appointment, call 219-513-9083. Or hit up Big Al, Big C, or Axel at the Booksy app or webpage. Head to Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland for a well-executed cut like a well-executed play.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I have received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step towards your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
Welcome to Diamond Plate, your new go-to sports bar with a casual vibe and elevated ballpark favorites. Dig into hand-breaded chicken tenders, juicy burgers, build your own pizzas, and don't forget our full bar stocked with local favorites and everyday classics. Located inside Athletic Performance Factory. Diamond Plate brings the fun with multi-sport simulators, duck pin bowling lanes, plus party space for birthdays, holidays, company outings, and fundraisers. Diamond Plate, where every bite, every sip, and every play is a win.
For 26 years, Armor Construction has been beautifying homes across Northwest Indiana. From expert roofing and durable siding to eye-catching custom copper work, Armor Construction does it all with the highest quality and integrity. Serving Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties, trust the best exterior construction company in Northwest Indiana to protect your investment. At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
Life isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moments that matter the most. Of effort, of a dream taking root. And behind those moments, there's trust. Thank you for trusting Centier Bank with those moments and making us a part of your story. Thank you for the opportunity to earn your trust.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.